This is the system that I install in my own bathroom and in the bathrooms of many of my clients that is super simple and it doesn't require much effort. One of the things I've really come to understand is that most people thrive when they give. I'm trying to grow a $9 a month membership without setting a single revenue goal. I think that was a productivity bro dropping his cup of athletic greens. This video is for you if you've ever set a goal and then let it dictate how you feel about yourself. If you've ever wanted an alternative to goal setting that helps you achieve what you want to achieve while affirming your sense of self-trust instead of eroding it. And I think this is even more important if you're in what I call the business of becoming, where you as a coach or a consultant or a healer help somebody else come home to themselves and unhook from capitalist accomplishment culture because, well, you can see how it wouldn't make any sense for you to tell somebody else to unhook from accomplishment culture if you yourself are basing all of your self-worth on a rando metric that we've pulled out of thin air. But hey, we still need to pay rent and we still need to function and get stuff done. So how does this whole no goals thing work? Let's get into it. Let's start with real numbers for the sake of this series, this experiment that I'm running. I have 3 active founding members in the Clarity Collective. This is my $9 a month subscription. 20% of your efforts actually drive 80% of your results. It is designed specifically for people in the business of becoming, coaches, creatives, healers who help others with becoming. So this is a really difficult thing to describe. It's difficult to structure. It's difficult to price, and it can be really hard to sell. So there's a very specific set of business problems that you need to solve in a particular order. And I'm good at helping people design businesses that help with becoming. That's what the project is all about. And right now I have exactly 3 founding members. At $9 a month, that's $27. That's not even enough to cover my kids' allowance. Aww. As a recovering overachiever and one that happens to be recovering from chronic fatigue syndrome, I just can't brute force my way to a goal anymore. My body will not let me be a giant bag of dicks to myself. But that's me. You might not have chronic fatigue syndrome, so let's talk about you. Because what could possibly go wrong with you hooking your sense of well-being to the one part of the process that you absolutely don't control? The outcome. Because goals put your entire focus on the outcome, and you know who controls the outcome? No one. That's who. The other problem with goals is that they create perverse incentives. And unfortunately, this is not the kind of perverse that's any fun at all. Let me explain. Imagine you need to lose 15 pounds by your cousin's wedding, which is in 6 weeks. Now you have a goal. You have a number, which is 15 pounds, and you have a deadline, which is 6 weeks. So that works out to, I should have done the math before, 15 divided by 6, you need to lose 2.5 pounds per week. So now you're going to backwards engineer how much weight you need to lose. Now, right here, at the time when you feel the most excitement, because you have numbers and a plan, all of which feels extremely rational, right? It feels more trustworthy than anything emotional. You feel really in control. And that allows you to fool yourself into thinking that progress is going to be linear, like you're going to literally lose 2.5 pounds each and every week, as if that's something you actually control. As if this process doesn't involve a body that has its own incentives and a person that is going to be under stress and under pressure and have a whole bunch of other things working against them. That's one of the biggest problems with goals. Goals do something that's very attractive to our brains that like things to be simple because we don't want to burn a lot of glucose and think about complexity. Actual progress has a lot of interplay and complexity between many different factors. But goals make it feel as if there's just one thing to think about. It's the outcome. That's it. If you just focus on this, then you will get there. You just have to work hard and you will get there. Have you ever heard this before? OMG, right? The problem, though, is imagine you now have to lose 2.5 pounds a week. That's if you know anything about weight loss, is probably too much for most bodies to do in a healthy way. So what are you going to do? You're going to eat too little and you're probably going to over-exercise. Now your body, that is an unwitting participant in this extravaganza, is going to be like, oh my God, who put Dopey in charge? There's a fridge full of food, but she won't eat it. And instead she keeps taking us to this freaking treadmill. Like, what the hell? So what's your body going to do? It's going to down-regulate your metabolism. Even if you are successful and you hit this goal, even if you lose the 15 pounds by the deadline, what do you think will happen next? This is a story as old as weight loss. You will boomerang back and you will gain even more weight. Now you will feel like more of a failure. You will double down on the discipline, and the goal will have you take your focus off of all the factors that would actually make you successful and double down on the factors that hurt you in the first place. And that's what I see happen even in businesses. Because let's bring it back to my business. I'm at 3 members right now. Let's say I wanted to get to 50 members, which, by the way, is a completely arbitrary number. Why not 100? Why not 5? I just made that number up. Like, that's what all goals are. They're made up freaking numbers. If I'm optimizing for 50 members by a particular arbitrary deadline, all I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let me get as many people in as fast as possible. And that's what my focus is going to be, tiny like that. I'm going to stop thinking about what experience does that create for all the other members who are now in with all these like weird fit people. I'm not going to be thinking about retention, which is where the real money comes from. I'm not going to be thinking about customer experience as much as I should because I'm just focused on enrollment. And that's what goals do. They break things before you even get started, and you don't realize because it feels safe. If it's not goal setting in the traditional way where you're focusing on an outcome, what do you do then? What do you focus on? So what I've learned to focus on is output. Any goal I set is process oriented. So I'll give you a concrete example. My goal is to make 2, maybe even 3 of these videos every week. That's action. That's the part that I don't control anything completely, but I have a lot more control over my output, over the actions that I can take. Now, when I take the action, it feeds my sense of self-trust. It feeds the identity I'm growing into, and it actually makes me feel good in a way that is actually something I control. Let's say you're moving into output orientation. All your goals are going to be output focused. If I had to pick the 20% that makes the hugest difference, that will make you successful if you adopt this approach, I would say optimize for feedback. Because feedback that is accurate, that is timely, where you're able to get it when you need it, and that is honest, will move you forward faster than almost anything else. Typically, when I'm working and I'm designing, whether it's my own business or those of clients, here's what we optimize for. There are 3 things. So number 1, feedback. I honestly believe if more of us spoke to our clients and prospects and people that we think we can help, we would be able to sell a lot more and we would be able to charge a lot more. And I'll tell you why. It's because think of it as a Venn diagram. There's one circle, that's the thing that juices you up and that you're really great at, that you want to help people with. And then the other circle is what they actually want help with and how they've identified their problems. And by talking to them, you basically excavate more and more of where those 2 circles overlap. And that's where you want to be building your business. Keep watching because I have a super simple system that you can set up to get feedback from just about anyone, including people you haven't been able to sell to because they said no. I want to bring you to number 2, which is constraints. Now, remember I said goals give you a very, very tiny focus and there are all these like complex factors that are interplaying and you just have no idea because you're completely oblivious to that. I have realized that most of us will sabotage our businesses or ourselves in some way if we're not aware of those complex factors. So my favorite tool to surface them for myself, this is something I invented years ago that I have used with every client. It is so effective. It's called the Clarificator. If you're ever interested, I can do a whole other video on it. It's in the Clarity Collective if you don't want to waste time. And it basically allows me to get to the root of my own objections to a particular plan. So it's like, if I were to be successful at this, then I fear that, ... and then I kind of free write. So I set a timer and then I just write out everything that I've come up with. So when I thought about creating a $9 a month subscription, parts of my body were like, oh, I don't know about this, I'm not sure, right? And why? Why did I feel that way? So I wanted clear calendar space. I wanted to make sure my calendar was not filled with coaching calls and sales calls and things like that. So I was like, okay, great. I know I need to design for that. I wanted monthly recurring revenue. I wanted a steady income stream that I could count on. So that was something really important that made me feel safe. I wanted something distinct from my more intimate, higher ticket offers. I wanted to be able to help more people in a way that did not drain me. I wanted to give people something genuinely useful and universally applicable. So if you're in the business of becoming, all of this absolutely applies to you. And more than anything, and I think this was a really big one for me, especially with CFS, I have to be really careful how I let people use my energy. I have a lot of activation energy in me. I'm very good at starting things, and I'm very good at getting people in motion. Like, I'm so good at it. And what happens is people can get really addicted to using my energy for them to start themselves and activate themselves. But then in the long term, that ends up draining me, or it constrains me to working with a very, very small number of people because I can only sustain so many different people's activation at a time. I want to make sure that I am building agency in people so that they learn how to activate themselves in a way that feels really good and really affirming to them, so they're not leaning on me for activation. That was probably the biggest thing that I excavated by using the clarificator about the Clarity Collective. Now, number 3 is ethics. I wanted to build something that is in deep alignment with my values, which means I don't want to use tactics like fake scarcity. I want to be really careful not to overpromise or mislead anybody. I wanted to build something in a way that I could do what felt so deeply important in this moment in time. It really feels like the world is burning down around our ears. Between fascism and climate change and AI, it feels like just working on business as usual is like picking out fancy curtains for the second floor while the basement's on fire. And I needed to do something about the basement. If I can put these tools into more people's hands, that can then put those tools into more people's hands and so on and so forth, we might actually be able to save ourselves. And so that was really a big deal to me. And I wanted to create something that could do that without burning me out. Now, I do want to say one thing that is really important. You might have heard that speech and thought, wow, she's so brave and she's so together. And I got to tell you, friends, this is terrifying as fuck. I am still supplementing as we rebuild. After my illness, I disappeared for 3 years and I came back. I am still rebuilding, and I am determined to not use some of the extractive tactics that I was taught that helped me build my business in the first place, which means I'm having to borrow from retirement savings and things like that to patch us through months that are leaner. And that's really scary. I won't lie to you. If you don't want this fear, or you don't feel like you have the capacity to take this on and grow courage through it, then this may not be the movement for you. There are plenty of nights that I sit in like, I'm trying to fall asleep and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, am I insane? Am I leading my family down some stupid ideological rabbit hole? Is this actually gonna work? And the truth of the matter is, and the reason I started this series on this channel is that I don't know. I want to believe that this is the kind of work that matters to more of us than not. I have 2 choices, right? Either I stick with being the problem and I sign up for more of the oligarchy, or I create the opposite. I would rather die trying creating the opposite. Growing courage, which is a skill set that I think all of us should be practicing ourselves and teaching all of our clients. Growing courage is nothing as glamorous as it sounds. It's horrifyingly unglamorous. Growing courage is about lying awake at night and wondering if you're an idiot. Growing courage is about wondering if you have anything worth sharing, if you don't have it all together yet. That's what growing courage is about. It's about knowing that you have something valuable to bring to the table, and then pushing back against the temptation to do it in a way that doesn't align. And it's work, but it's also deeply satisfying. If there's one gift that chronic fatigue syndrome has given me, it is the gift of having such clear feedback for whether I'm aligned with my values or not. When I'm not, I have no energy. And when I am, I have energy. You might still be developing this clarity in your own body, but if that's what you're doing, then you're in the right place. I'd love to hear in the comments what you think, because this is fucking scary to put out there, honestly. If you have never optimized for feedback before. Here's what I get my clients to do. So recently I worked with a client. She's transitioning out of website design and she's moving towards more of a becoming style business because that's always what she wanted to do. Websites were kind of a pretext. We started working together. Before we did this conversation, she had had a bunch of sales calls that had not closed. So she didn't get any work out of it. So here's what we did. I had her, and this is what you're going to do. You're going to make a list of a bunch of people that you would love to get feedback from, or you would love to build a relationship with. This could be people that you have had a sales call with that didn't convert, old clients that you have worked with, but you haven't heard from in a really long time, clients that you're currently working with is always a great example as well. It could also be collaborators that are, complementary to what you do. They speak to the same audience, but you're not competitors. You don't do the exact same thing. These are the types, the categories of people that you would want to list down and write down names. Make sure you get to 20, at least. If you can get to more, great. But 20 is a good number. If you really can't get to 20, do 10, but don't do less than 10. Now, here's what you're going to do. This is going to sound really strange, but I swear it works. You are going to stick this in the bathroom. Wherever it is that you go to brush your teeth in the morning and the evening, that's where you want to do it. You want to stick it on your bathroom mirror or by the john or on your shower door or whatever. Every time you brush your teeth or you go into the bathroom, what's going to happen is you're going to just, out of the corner of your eye, you're going to see your list. While you're brushing your teeth, you're going to read the list. You're going to remember people's names. This keeps those people front and center in your mind. What's going to be super cool, and you're going to watch this happen, friends, when you go and you read an email or you are doom scrolling and you watch a YouTube video. It's going to remind you of one of those people on your list. And then you are going to have something genuinely valuable to share with them. So your way of reaching out to them isn't, hey, I'm checking in. How's it going? Want to buy something? Because that doesn't work, right? What you want to do is reach out to them in a way that is helpful within your genre of expertise. So in the case of my client who does a lot of design work, one of the people that she was working with, she's an author. She has a book that's coming out. The plan seemed loosey-goosey. Now I was thinking, hey, my client, if the next time you go to the bookstore, take a bunch of photographs of book covers that catch your eye, fonts that you love, colors that you love, designs that you love, however that works, right? Save them on your phone like they're photographs. Then go home and send an email to be like, oh my gosh, I was thinking about your book and I wanted to send you a few ideas because I think your cover could be X, Y, or Z. She's the designer, not me. You've communicated that this person is top of mind for you, that you actually care about them, and that you're willing to help them in a way that's non-extractive. Will every one of these turn into something, a client or a referral or something? I can't promise you that. Nobody can. Will most of these relationships flower? They probably will. In my experience, they do. And the reason for that is Adam Grant talks about this in his book. There are some people who are givers. My client happens to be a giver. It's just her first language. Her love language is to give. There's a small subset, an ugly small subset that are takers. These are people who take and they don't give back. But most people, 80% of the population, are matchers, which means they won't initiate the giving, but if you give to them first, they will find a way to give back. And so what this does is it opens that doorway of possibility in the matching. Most people will try to give you back in some way. They might turn into a client, they might send you a referral, they might send you a collaborator. All of these things become the complex tapestry that helps your business flourish because it's never just one thing that makes you successful. This is the system that I install in my own bathroom and in the bathrooms of many of my clients that is super simple and it doesn't require much effort. One of the things I've really come to understand is that most people thrive when they give. A lot of the times, our job can be to model the giving. So obviously give first every time that you can, but also to create opportunities for people to give back. In that spirit, I would love to invite you. If you're ready for the Clarity Collective and you want help solving problems in your business in the right order so that you deal with the most important decisions up top and make everything else underneath easier. If that feels right to you and it's the right time for you, find the link in the description. If it's not the right time for you, you're not ready for it, it doesn't matter. Can you please share this video with somebody who has a troubled relationship with goals and would like to find an alternative? Because that would make my day and it might very well make theirs. Thank you. Thank you for being here.